Good morning. It is Wednesday, the 6th of April. We are looking at the book of Exodus, chapter 7. We've jumped from chapter 6:1, where we finished yesterday, through to chapter 7, verse 8. And the reason we've done that jump is pretty much the rest of chapter 6, beginning of chapter 7, is something of the backstory of how it is that Moses, who is called by God to be this great and incredible prophet, has with him his older brother Aaron. And as I intimated yesterday, Moses describes himself as having stuttering lips or trembling lips. So one assumes he had something of a stutter. And it also in that section, chapter 6, gives the genealogy of Moses and Aaron. So we jump to chapter 7, verse 8, and if you remember yesterday, we concluded when God said in chapter 6, verse 1, "Now I will show Pharaoh." There's a sense in which God is now going to immediately begin to do something, and that is exactly what you see. Apart from that interlude with something of the backstory in chapter 6, chapter 7 from verse 8 picks up quite solidly Moses and Aaron going again to Pharaoh, and this time Moses is to throw his staff down and it'll turn into a snake. And I suppose that would terrify me. It certainly didn't really terrify Pharaoh, because he calls his magicians and sorcerers and his wise men, and interestingly they're able to do the same, and it's not explained how they could do that. Was it a sleight of hand? Were they hiding snakes up their sleeves? Or did their staves really turn into snakes? The implication, if there's individual staves did turn into snakes, and it was through a demonic power. And so you've got the sense in which it's the power of God versus the power of Satan and his demons. What is interesting, though, is that the staff of Moses promptly swallows up all the snakes of the sorcerer. So therein lies quite a powerful symbolism. If it is to be seen who is more powerful, God or Satan, and we know, and here's proof of it, that God and Satan are not equally powerful. God is incredibly more powerful than Satan, even though he can do many horrible things and has a degree of power. And Pharaoh's heart, we are told, is hardened, and he turns his back on Moses and Aaron, and he will have nothing to do with them. God continues, however, and we also said that yesterday, that God is continually with us. God speaks to Moses and Aaron and says, tomorrow morning, very early, when Pharaoh goes down to the river, presumably for some ablutions, you are to go there too and meet him, and God would give Moses the words to say, effectively turning all the water in Egypt into blood, the river Nile turning to blood, all the dams and the reservoirs, even water in buckets and cisterns for people's drinking in their respective houses would all turn to blood. And so the following morning, Moses and Aaron meet Pharaoh, and they again give the instruction. Pharaoh, this is what the God of Israel says: let my people go to worship him in the wilderness. And Pharaoh refuses. His heart is hardened once again, and so Moses holds a staff out and sort of sways it over the whole land and strikes the water, and it turns into blood, exactly as God had said it would. And again, interestingly, we read that the magicians and sorcerers are able to do the same thing. No detail given, and that's the end of the reading, because we then move on tomorrow, and we'll pick up the plague of frogs. But it seems to me that the lesson for us is that we need to be very cautious who we listen to. Pharaoh obviously had a very stubborn, arrogant heart. Scripture says God hardened his heart, but it seems to me that it wasn't as if Pharaoh was compliant and would have obeyed God without hesitation, and God somehow manipulated him not to do that. I think all along God knew how Pharaoh would respond, and so it's just the way the Bible expresses itself, that God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Now we need to be cautious that we are not arrogant, because we think we know better. Pharaoh, presumably knowing that he was the big boss, had certainly allowed that to go to his heart and to his brain, and he wasn't going to listen to anyone. And those advisors that he had around him were probably really yes people. And we must be cautious that we don't have, likewise, a hardened heart. We need to not surround ourselves with people who always stroke us and make us feel as if we are the best and the only one who knows the truth. So we need to be very cautious, and it's especially true for those of us in leadership in the church. We often are surrounded by those who want some favor from us, and they'll tell us how wonderful we are, and it can sometimes go to our heads. So be cautious who you surround yourself with. Have people who will challenge you and criticize you. Obviously, all of this done in a godly manner and a godly fashion. It is Jesus' name that we lift high, not our own name. And then we will hopefully be able to follow God and remain obedient to God and do what it is God wanted. So folks, have a wonderful day, and remember, you're not God. Let God be God, and you simply obey him and follow him. God bless. We'll chat again tomorrow. Bye-bye.